Famille, belle, la moustache et la capucha. Casito patamilo, mira taca, tiki buleti. Casito patamilo, mira taca, tiki buleti. Casito patamilo, mira taca, tiki buleti. Casito patamilo, mira taca, tiki taca, tiki. Casito patamilo, mira taca, tiki buleti. Casito patamilo, mira taca, tiki buleti. Casito patamilo, mira taca, tiki buleti. Famille, belle, la moustache et la capucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show. And today, as you can see from the title, Trent Williams' days in Washington is done. The team is set up there and told him he can go find a trade partner. So Trent Williams is going to be out of DC. I've been one of the staunch supporters of Trent and keeping Trent, trying to keep Trent, but clearly Trent doesn't want to be here. So at the end of the day, Trent is actually going to be gone. Trent is out of here. So there are things that I have to say, there are trade possibilities that I feel can be invoked in this. Now, they told him he can find a trade partner, but to me, if the trade partners that he has to find, or the trade partners that the Redskins come up with, have to be guys that have to be partners that make sense to us, not necessarily him. So along with that, I think that if Trent is going to be traded, you have to also trade Quinton Dunbar as well, because Quinton Dunbar, there were reports coming out that Quinton Dunbar and Trent were both talking to each other, that they're very close, and the fact that Quinton Dunbar wants to be moved, and he was talking about being moved and getting paid, and now Trent is talking about being moved or being traded. So we might as well just get both of them out of here, because we don't have time to be wasting on guys who just don't want to be Washington Redskins. No longer should we waste our time on guys who just don't want to be here. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely am one of the few people who love Trent Williams. Love Trent Williams. From the time we drafted him on to the fact that he had such a loud voice this year. Now again, the health thing, I understand his scare with that. But once everything trains, once Bruce gets fired, and once the training staff changes over, I would have thought his stance would have changed. But instead, it seemed like his stance did not change and was not going to change. Now, I don't know how much of that is the fact that Fan Snyder is still the owner, but he said his issues was with Bruce and was with the training staff. Both of them are gone, and he still has issues. So I don't know where to go at. Same thing applies to Quinton Dunbar. If him and Trent are buddies and friends, then both of them need to go. And at the end of the day, that's all we need to do. With that being said, there are a few trade possibilities out there that I would think that the Redskins will want to explore. Now, I have five. I have my 5 trade possibilities, and I'm going to list them off, and I'm going to show you the trade possibilities and what can happen and everything like that. So I got 5 trade possibilities, and on top of my 5 trade possibilities, there are 2 that might be kind of out there, but then there are 3 that I feel are legitimate trades that could actually happen, and the terms make sense for both teams. So I'm going to start off with the first one. The Minnesota Vikings, us trading Quinton Dunbar to the Minnesota Vikings for Stephon Diggs, player for player. The reason why I say that is because Stephon Diggs wants out of Minnesota. Quinton Dunbar wants out of DC. Why not sit up there and send Quinton Dunbar up to Minnesota, because they're going to need more secondary help. They may not need too many quarterbacks, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't mind a starting cornerback. So, and then Stephon Diggs, again, he's been complaining about being in Minnesota. So what better way to not only for him to agree to a trade, other than to come back to DC, where he had his career at Maryland and all that. So I think that, Quinton Dunbar for Stephon Diggs in Minnesota might be a great possibility. And at the same time, it also appeases Ron Rivera's statement of bringing in a veteran wide receiver what better veteran wide receiver than to bring in than Stephon Diggs? That's just my opinion on that. Now, if they want something else in this trade, we could add a later pick, maybe a 7th rounder, because we got 2. So that could be thrown in there as well. But Quentin Dunbar for Diggs, that's my first trade. The second one is a 2nd rounder from the Jacksonville Jaguars for Quentin Dunbar. Now, I know that sounds a little high, but Jacksonville needs a starting cornerback. And with them losing Jalen Ramsey, and I think the other guy is getting ready to be moved or was released or something, but they are in the market for cornerbacks. And what better way to get themselves on track than to have a guy who's already been in the NFL? I know the 2nd round pick seems pretty high, but if they're going to take a corner in the draft anyway, and why not sit up there and give the 2nd round pick to a cornerback that's already considered the 2nd rated player and the 2nd rated cornerback in the NFL? Whatever. But anyway, like I said, why not go with that whole thing? The third, these last 3 ones are ones that I really feel are ones that can actually happen. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about, I know people may not necessarily agree with this one, but I think it's one that can legitimately happen. The Cleveland Browns 3rd round pick and either Odell Beckham or Jarvis Landry for Trent Williams and Kelvin Harmon. Hold it, because I already know what you're thinking. I already know what you're ready to say. But I just want you to hear me out right here. Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry both have been complaining about being and playing in Cleveland. Now, a lot of that has to do probably with Baker Mayfield. Yeah, they've changed the people, the personnel people around. They changed the coaches around and everything like that. But I still don't think that Odell Beckham or Jarvis Landry want to be in Cleveland. Now, Cleveland has reached out to us before about the whole situation, about, trading, getting Trent for a pick. But to me, I think that we have to not only include Trent, we have to get a pick and a player in this thing, because I think that if we get the pick and player, again, we still draft high in the 3rd round, because that's important. We need to draft very high in the 3rd round. We can't draft lower than, I think, like maybe 78th. We can't draft lower than 78th. But with that being said, we have to draft very high in the 3rd round, and Cleveland has a fairly high pick. So with that being said, I don't see the issue with us trading Trent to Cleveland and trading Trent and Harmon to Cleveland, and we get their third round pick along with one of their wide receivers, because both of them, they both want to be out. But you gotta, if you want to get rid of one, why not take one again? This move will also appease the request of Ron Rivera of getting a veteran wide receiver. So this is one that I know a lot of y'all are sitting out there saying there's no way that Cleveland is going to give up Odell Beckham or Jarvis Landry. I didn't say they had to give up both of them, but I think they will listen to the factor of, one, getting Trent, and at the same time getting a young receiver to replace one of those receivers. Now, I get that Kelvin Harmon didn't finish. You didn't see a lot from him, but you saw enough to see that what type of player he was going to be. So you can actually put him beside either one of them, and he might actually succeed, because, again, right now he's kind of being overshadowed by McLaurin and Steven Sims. Now, the other way this works is that the Redskins could also draft another former Ohio State wide receiver in this upcoming draft who could possibly fall to us to 4th or 5th. The reason I say that is because you got KJ Hill, former Ohio State wide receiver that played with Dwayne Haskins, and you also have Austin Mack. Now, a lot of people saying Victor Benjamin. No, he's fast, but he's lanky, and it's going to take him time to build up his body. Austin Mack and KJ Hill are ready. So again, this deal works, and we can still go out there and draft Austin Mack or either KJ Hill once we've made the play of trading Kelvin Harmon. If we wanted to get a young receiver back, we can draft one. My next one involves two teams and the possibility of the Redskins picking 1, 2, 3 in the third round. Now, we can trade Trent to the Bengals, who are looking for an offensive tackle. I'm pretty sure they would love to have a Pro Bowl tackle protecting their young quarterback at the beginning of his career. We can trade Trent to the Bengals for their first round pick in the third round, and because Detroit will be looking to replace Darius Slay, we can trade Quentin Dunbar to Detroit for their third round pick, which means that the Redskins can possibly be picking 1, 2, 3 in the third round. That would be an excellent pick. Now again, I know y'all might sit up there and be like, why would they do that? Now again, Quentin Dunbar is young. He's still young. Darius Slay is already older, and he's already out the door. Quentin Dunbar will actually be a better cornerback if he was to go to Detroit, because it would be better for them to take him and start him and put them in their system than to sit up there and try to draft a guy or sign another guy. Not only that, Quentin Dunbar still has a couple years on his deal, so you can just go ahead and squeak out his deal for the time being and maybe renegotiate later. But I think it's something that can happen. Like I said, this could be an actual good trade. The Redskins get the Bengals first pick in the third round, and the Redskins get the Bengals first pick in the third round, and they get the Detroit Lions pick in the third round. Then the Redskins could pick 1, 2, 3 in the third round. My last trade is the possibility of Trent Williams being traded to the Miami Dolphins for their third round pick. Now, the reason I say that is because Miami is going to be looking for a offensive lineman as well. Now, they're going to also be picking a young quarterback as well. Should it be Tua, Herbert, or from how I'm hearing things at this point, might be Love. So with that being said, again, you're talking about the possibility of bringing in a Pro Bowl tackle who can defend the guy. Not only that, it will probably appease Trent as well, because he will probably want to be in Miami or in one of those warm weather places, because he's not going to be able to be traded to any Texas team, so he might as well cancel that out. But Miami is close enough that he can travel home whenever he feel like it and still, make the trip back and forth to Miami. So with that being said, the Redskins can get the Miami's third round pick and actually do something with these third round picks that'll be something special. So again, to me, the Redskins can actually walk away in this trade. It can walk away in these trades with 2 picks in the third round from teams. One of the teams being Cincinnati, the other one being Detroit. To me, I feel that that's probably your most legitimate chance to get the two third round picks. The Redskins could make these deals and pick 1, 2, 3 in the third round. Now, again, like I said, I get it. Some of these may sound outrageous, but when you really analyze these trades, they really do make sense, not only for the Redskins, but also for the other teams. Trent's last days in DC have happened. He's going to be gone. Quentin Dunbar's last days need to be on the same level. And that's just what needs to happen. DC will be on the man. The skins will be on the man. Everything will be fine. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.